family and friends, Derek Johnston, co-founder and strategic director. If you could unmute and show your video, Derek. He's a highly experienced creative brand strategist, 35 years in the industry, working across every business sector from banking to bread. He's passionate about ethical, so we've got a theme here, and better for you companies, and he transforms their brands and so that they're happier propositions for both the customers and also for the companies. So he was founded, or the company was founded by himself and Alex Durbridge in 2009, and it, as I said, orientated toward ethical food, drink and lifestyle branding. So hopefully we can get back on track. So over to you, Derek.
Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I shall go into full screen mode.
Cool.
Lovely. Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. No, that's a pleasure. I'll try and be as brief as I can. Hello, everybody. So thanks for a brilliant introduction, and that's really kind. I'm just going to talk a little bit about branding. Now, branding obviously is a much bigger piece than just online and digital. Branding obviously covers every aspect of your brand, and it should really drive your entire way of thinking. But I just put something together this morning, hopefully, which is a practical example of how a brand can be optimized in the digital space. So it's pretty much a fact that, and I think we've already talked about this, that most brands that have traditionally been bought sort of bricks and mortar are eventually going to go online. You know, obviously it's very difficult times for retail, and especially for young entrepreneurs trying to get their products and their brands out there. So actually buying online is becoming a kind of a new reality, and every brand now really needs to be built at the outset for working in the digital environment. I mean, it's really interesting that looking at the way in which a number of
your broadband is going a bit haywire. Your broadband's going a bit haywire. We can't hear you very well.
Their identities in the last few years to reflect. Okay. Oh dear, I'm sorry.
No, your screen is frozen. Maybe just put the PowerPoint up and take your video down. That might help. Yeah, I mean, Mark's the expert, but I would think that's probably what you need to do.
Yeah, okay, I'll stop my video.
Sorry, everyone.
No, is that better?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Lovely. Okay. And so, as I've already said, you know, branding isn't simply about logos and fonts. It's a discipline that should drive your entire way of thinking about your business. It's from every aspect. Move on to the next slide. So I'm just going to try and touch on some of these subjects. There's not enough time to go into this in absolute detail, but just really a top line. And I do apologise to anybody who's a brand expert out there and has built a fantastic brand. I don't want to be teaching you how to suck eggs, but these are the 101s really of building any kind of solid brand. So obviously the most important thing to start with is to understand who your competitors are and who your customers are. And really looking at what the competitors are doing in depth and finding their weakness. That's one of the first things you need to do if you're starting a brand or rebranding. The other really important aspect is getting a real understanding of your customer's mindset and really tap into that. Find messages, find ways of talking to them that respond directly to their needs or the needs that they presume they have. So once you've really built a strong picture, a knowledge base of your customer and competitors, you can really start to think about what your purpose in the marketplace is. What's your big idea? Purpose has become a very popular word in the world of branding recently. But I think especially with the more ethical brands and brands that are small and new, they really need to put across to consumers what they believe in, because people tend to, it's a very crowded marketplace now. You can, almost every category is crowded, especially in the area that I work in most, which is food and beverage and FMCG. There's a ton of brands that you can buy into. Why am I going to buy yours? And of course, that means that you've got to have a really strong and creative brand voice as well. You've got to talk in a certain way that's going to appeal to people, that's going to be interesting, that's going to be, fun, that's going to be engaging. Once you've nailed those two aspects, you can really start moving on to what I call the colouring in, which is, developing logos, developing visual assets, and developing creative copy that gives you some kind of unique brand assets. Because one of the most important aspects of branding is ownability. What can you own? What's different from the competitors? And then engagement is a massive subject area. We've just been talking about that just in with the last talk. It's more than just selling the raw product or service. You've got to create a tribe. You've got to tell stories. You've got to engage people with interesting ideas across multiple media and touch points. So I'm going to share with you a practical example, and I'll whiz through this because hopefully it's pretty self-evident. But it's an example of a brand that's been born digital, basically, into a very crowded marketplace. It's a brand which has had to have a very sort of disruptive and quite a highly memorable approach to branding in order to get cut through. And actually the three words that are, for me, are the most important in branding are clarity, in terms of kind of getting your message across really clearly and making sure consumers really understand who you are and what you do very quickly. Simplicity, keep everything very simple. Don't overcomplicate your message. Say one or two things over and over and over again, which leads on to this idea of repetition. So the more you say a thing, the simpler you say a thing, and the clearer you say a thing, then the more chance you've got of getting cut through and your brand is really working hard. So the example I'm going to share is from a startup brand. It was a husband and wife team that really only started their business 18 months ago. One of them is a medical doctor, still working frontline, so a very busy man indeed. And his wife, Melissa, they've now got 3 kids, and she also works full-time on other business as well. So this was started off as a passion project, but has actually turned into something really quite important and powerful for them, and has led from no sales to over 1,000 sales, and 1,000 customers rather, in just a few short months. I can get some more data on it in due course, but for today, I just wanted to just talk about their brand journey. So the knowledge base from competitors and trying to find their weakness came from looking at the market very clearly and saying to ourselves, well, let's face it, the world doesn't need another smoothie powder. There's lots of products out there. Why would anybody want something new? But then when we started to look at the category, we said to ourselves, well, actually, it's kind of quite cold and functional. Nothing really stands out. And most of the brands are trying to look so clean and so pure that they're actually saying nothing to consumers and they're actually not connecting with them. So we identified that as a weakness. We then took a hard look at who we thought our target consumer was. And, obviously you want as many consumers as you possibly can, but looking at a bullseye, looking at a really clear target of who we could be talking to, who is in our mind's eye, is a really valuable way to connect your ideas with consumers. So we said to ourselves that we're looking at the kind of people who are kind of just existing. They're going through their daily routines. They're looking for more in life. They're looking for more exciting things to happen in their lives, but it's very hard. It's very hard to break out of their routines. So we wanted to be a brand which began to act as a bit of a catalyst. So by joining the tribe of users, you begin to become part of a group of people that are all sharing in a belief. So right from the outset, we decided that we weren't just going to try and target consumers. We were going to try and engage consumers. We were going to try and get a tribe of people through social media, through all the messaging that we did, to try and connect. So in this case, the case of this brand, Instagram has been one of the most powerful connectors, in fact, the most powerful connector. So we said to ourselves, and a mental shake. So inspiring people to break out. So this idea of being a motivational shake, as well as a physical shake that you.
Okay, Derek, we can't hear you very well. So
I'm sorry, I don't know why. I've got.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Perhaps move on to the next, because we're.
I've got a good signal. I've got a very good signal here, so.
Okay, so moving on, because we're like getting, quite a lot. Is there any way you could conclude? Okay, I think we might have lost Derek. Are you?
Have you lost me?
Yeah. So, do you mind concluding, Derek?
I can conclude. Yes, I was.
Cool. Just sort of wrap the last.
Okay. Well, I did have a 15-minute presentation, and I'm not up to that, but I'll
okay. We'll carry on until you.
I'll whip through it then. Okay.
Thank you. Hopefully we can make it.
Yeah, so yes, the aim was to try and create something that really stood out. So we go through a process of looking at identifying a brand voice and pulling together a kind of like a storyboard, which tells us and shows us kind of how the brand's going to act and look and feel. And then we moved on to developing a brand tagline, which was all around the idea of liberating your day. And that features very strongly across everything that we do. So kind of forms a shorthand for consumers to kind of buy into. And then making a really simple and fun, easy way to interact with the brand, to get information on the brand, and also to buy directly. And we agree that doing things to optimize that, creating a brand that's optimized on mobile is absolutely essential, and it's where we always start now. We start thinking about the brand, how it's going to work in digital environment, and creating, so it's important as well for your brand to create things like animations, right, to create simple iconography that allows people to get quick understanding of your brand. Creating images which you can own as well is very important. And yeah, and just finally, we wanted to, as I said, we wanted to start the brand's journey with people by offering them the chance to kind of get involved and join in as a community. So this is the creation of kind of assets like t-shirts, I'm wearing here, of smoothie bottles, of shakers and things like that you can buy, or just move forward. So you know, been the most powerful driver for this brand, and just getting everybody to come online and show people what they've been doing, the activities they've been doing, the challenges they've been taking, but always wearing the Dare t-shirt, always featuring the Dare shaker. So it becomes then really strong and iconic, and sort of beds into people's mindset. And then just lastly, really just on Instagram, I know we've already said it, but actually curating your creating your social media, and not just having stuff just kind of chucked at it willy-nilly, is really, really important. So when people come on to this channel, in fact, all digital channels, there's a consistency and a sense of purpose about everything everything that you see.